event, Fashion Sketching. I'm Caroline Chang, Arts Program Manager at LA County Library, and I'll be your moderator today. Before we begin the actual program, we wanted to make a quick introduction to one of our resources for parents and caregivers with Yvonne, one of our positive parenting librarians.
Thank you, Caroline. Hi, everyone. My name is Yvonne, and I'm a positive parenting librarian with LA County Library. Before we get started today, let me tell you a little bit about how LA County Library can support your parenting needs. I have been accredited by a research-based positive parenting program to provide tips and to help you with your child's behavior. These tips include topics such as encouraging creativity, supporting your partner, and balancing work and family. I'll be available during the program to answer questions in the chat, as well as for 10 minutes after the program. You can also schedule a one-on-one consultation with a positive parenting librarian. These consultations are available in both English and Spanish. I have posted the link for scheduling a consultation with us in the chat. You will also be able to find this link in the email that will go out after the program. Thank you so much, and I look forward to chatting with you all.
So first, I'd like to do a quick introduction of Claudia Hindu. As an art instructor of over 20 plus years, Claudia knows what works and what doesn't when it comes to teaching art. And with her 10 plus years of working with students of all ages and backgrounds, Claudia has developed signature art methods designed to be inclusive and accessible to all. She has seen her techniques help people who have suffered strokes, persons with Parkinson's, MS, dementia, tremors, bipolar depression, addictions, adults and children with autism, dyslexia, and many other special needs. As founder of Claudia's Art Therapy, Claudia is eager to meet students where they are at and help them grow in their artistic ability. Claudia's Art Therapy is an international company with classes available in all time zones. And I know she's about to add author to her list of many accomplishments as well. She has a book coming out soon too. So you can find more about Claudia Hindu at claudiasarttherapy.com. And without further ado, I will just turn it over to Claudia Hindu.
Thank you, Caroline. Thank you for that wonderful introduction. I'm going to talk about what we're going to need. So let's get started. We are definitely going to need a pencil and an eraser. And maybe you don't need one, but if you have one, you may want to use one. And we are going to use our paper portrait. So we will get started. And if you have any questions, feel free to send us a question and we'll try to answer as many as possible. I'm going to flip the camera, so bear with me. Okay, so let's get started. So if you don't have a ruler, what you want to do, we want to fold the paper. We are going to want to fold the paper in half. And once you fold it, we are going to draw a line down the middle. Caroline, would it be, I'm going to move the layout a little bit. I think I might be, let's see. Okay, so we are going to draw a line down the middle. And you can draw light, but I'm going to have to make it dark so you can see it. So the line down the middle, and if you do an up and down motion, it's easier to stay within that line. So just an up and down motion. The next thing you're going to do, if you do use your ruler, you can maybe do lines like, say, you can maybe a finger down, leave a little bit at the top. And you can draw the line, you can draw the top line here, and then you can do this at 1 inch. Okay, if you don't have the ruler, you can just eyeball it. And what you want to do, you want to be in front of your line. So you want this line to be underneath your nose. It's a lot easier. If your paper is this way or this way, that's not going to function. So we want to just go side to side. So at this point, you're probably wondering what I'm making or doing. There's different names for this. I call it a grid. Nowadays, they call it crosshairs. but it doesn't matter what you call it. It's something that if you were to draw this maybe a good 20 times, you would see that you probably won't need the guidelines anymore. So I'm just trying to space them out the same distance. And so at this point, you're probably asking, well, how many do I need? So right up at the top, we are going to add the number 1. So number 1. The first line up here is going to be line 2. And you're probably asking, how far do I go right or left? Don't go all the way through. You don't need to. So it's approximately maybe about 1.5 inches on each side, but it doesn't matter. You can go further out. So you want to go 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and I'm going to do one more. And I'm going to pause here to give you a minute to catch up in case I'm going a little too fast. And Caroline, let me know if I'm going a little too fast. So here we go, our 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So you're probably wondering, well, how many lines do I need to draw? If you were drawing a person that's my height, I'm about 5'6", you would probably stop at 10. If you were drawing a football player, or I should say like a basketball player, then you could go 11, 12, 13, as long as you need to. So we're gonna just aim for maybe an average size. So I'm gonna wait about a little bit to give you a chance to have all these lines down. And so while you're working on that, I will show you how, when you have the large paper or a smaller paper, you can still draw the 10 lines. The only difference is that the distance here would be shorter. Okay. So I'm gonna start. If you haven't finished everything, don't worry. You have plenty of time. Between lines 2 and 3, we're just gonna focus on lines 2 and 3. So you can go as wide as you would like, as long as both sides of line 1 match. So let me talk a little bit more about that grid. So a lot of people, or I should say artists or instructors, they don't always number the grid. Some do, some don't. Some of them number the actual grid, or some of them actually do say, if it's not the grid, they number the spaces. So don't worry if your lines aren't straight, it won't matter. It's just, it won't matter. What matters is if you're having trouble making it straight and you don't have a ruler, again, make sure that this line is underneath your nose, and that's easier to make these a little straighter, okay? So we are going to start between lines 2 and 3. So on line 2, we're gonna draw the top of the head, and we're gonna curve down. On line 3, we're gonna draw the chin, and then from here, we are going to draw the side of the head. So you want the spaces, this space and this space, to be equal. You want that for sure. So now that you have those lines, those guidelines, you can go ahead and close them up. Don't worry, we're not gonna do the face just yet. We'll do that later. We're gonna keep moving between lines 3 and 4. Between lines 3 and 4, we are going to draw a hash line, in the middle or center. Now that you have your hash line, on that hash line, you are going to draw your shoulders. You are going to draw in your shoulders. Now, how far do you go? Okay, well, you're going to have a chance to make it longer or shorter. The only thing I can tell you is that you don't want to create a square. You want to create some type of a rectangle, at least a rectangle. If you have 2 squares on the side, then it's not going to be okay. So right now I see that this side is a little larger than this side. So I'm just going to adjust and make them the same size. Again, make sure that this matches. You can go as wide as you want again. So we were looking at the person. We could pretty much see if they have wide shoulders or they don't have wide shoulders. So make sure you have 2 rectangles here. We're going to move to line 5. So on line 5, we are going to draw the waist. So now I'm on line 5. So line 5, line 5. So what I'm gonna take some time now to connect. Now, you don't want to connect straight down from the neck, say from the head down to here. You want to curve. You want to start, if you take a minute and touch your neck by next to your ear, you'll see that your neck, right, is, you can feel it there, and then it curves, and then kind of touch your neck as if you're going towards your shoulder. So you see how it starts, say, here, and I'll try to, so you can see it. So it kind of starts here by the ear, and then you go in a bit, and then you go back out. And so there's this curve, there's natural curve. So don't just go straight down. So I'm going to go do the other side, and I'm going to go back in. And this is the one place where if it's not the same on both sides, it's better because it'll show like it's some type of movement. So it'll enhance your sketch. So once you have your neck, let me just and get a little closer. The next thing is we're going to attach the shoulders, or I should say the armpits, to the waist. So you're going to curve in. So this language of curving in and curving out, this is what we mean by curving in. So we're curving inward and we're curving in. So again, take a minute and see that both sides are the same. I'm a little longer here by about 1/8. So I'm going to make this line a little thicker so it matches. So take some time and make sure that, with the exception of the neck, make sure this matches and this matches and this matches. Okay. From here, we're gonna cheat a little bit and make it easier. So again, we're just drawing a sort of more like I can't say the word average. I would say the word just the easiest method. How's that? So the easiest method would be to, again, make sure that this armpit is underneath your nose. So that's why I moved the paper to the side, because my camera is in the way. So I'm going to go straight down using this, the armpit, and I'm going to come straight down. I'm going to draw these little hash lines coming straight down. You can use your ruler if you like. And then from here, from my waist, I'm going to connect down to line 6. So I have this natural curve. Okay. Now at this point, we have so many body types. So at this point, you can go wider here. Just make sure they're both the same. So I'm going to come straight down. I'm going to do the same thing that I did for the other side. And then I'm going to connect from my waist down. So now we have the torso. So now let's think a little bit about legs and the stance. So stances are a little different now in fashion. You'll see that the stands are maybe with the feet apart, so it shows more power or more authority, whereas before the stances were a little different. So the first thing I'm going to do is decide where I'm going to add my feet. So I'm going to draw my ankles. So the first thing is drawing my ankles. So I'm going to draw 2 ovals, and I'm going to space them out about the same. Again, if they're not the same, that's even better, because this way it's not so stiff. So I have a little bit, it's a little bit further out here than it is out here. So with that said, from the center here and the center here, I'm gonna notch it. So when we say the word notch, it just means the word notching just means like make a little note, a little sign, so that you know where to start. So I'm gonna attach this to this, and I'm gonna do the same thing. So these are gonna be my pretend, say, bones. And I'm gonna do the same thing for the other side. And so now we know where we're going. So if you've what I'm trying to do with fashion, you always need to know when you're drawing a person. I think it's easier to draw a person when you know where you're going, rather than trying to draw the most beautiful legs. I've had people draw the most beautiful arms, but they're way too long or way too short. So then they just wasted their time. Why not know where to stop? So from the hips to the ankles, what's going to be in the middle, right? Our knees. So where should we place our knees? So if you said line 7, it's a no. If you said a line 8, it's a no. You want to look for the center. So process of elimination, center would be between 7 and 8. So we are going to draw our ovals a little larger, right? Because our knees are a little wider than our ankles. So now we have now we know where we're going. So from the center, I'll give you a minute. I'll give you a little bit of time to do this. And again, just knowing if you're waiting, again, look at your drawing and see if everything's balanced. And if you're drawing, we are waiting for you. So, and again, let us know.
Claudia, there was
So, yes.
one question in the chat.
Yes.
Isn't there a saying that shoulders should match the hips?
No, they should not. They definitely should not match. In this case, I'm trying to show you the easiest way to do this. But shoulders you can have a very slim waist and have very wide shoulders. Or you can have very small shoulders and wide hips. So no, you can go as wide as you want, as long as both sides match. Picture drawing a line down the center of your body. So you both, if you draw a line down the center of your face, it's equal, right? So it's just the same thing applies. So if you're drawing a person that you're looking at, pay attention to see where their elbow is. Is their elbow close to their waist? Is it higher than their waist? Is it lower than their waist? But then you know where you're going. Same thing with legs. Some people have longer legs than others. So you can kind of see, and if it's someone with longer legs, I might have taken the legs a little further down to maybe 10. Some people have a small torso and long legs. So it all varies on the person you're drawing. But in this case, we're making someone up. And thank you for that question. So I hope I answered it. So I'm going to draw from the hips. I'm going to go inward, and I'm going to connect to my knee. And from the center, same thing, I'm going to connect to my knee. And from the knee, I'm going to connect to the ankle. So if I was drawing this, obviously I would probably draw it a little lighter so that I can erase all these guidelines. But don't worry about erasing anything at this point, because these are your notes. So maybe tomorrow or later on, you can redo this a little lighter, and then you can erase the guidelines afterwards. And same thing with the legs. There's so many postures. So I'm going to do the same thing for the other side. And I'm going to go in and connect. And so at this point, see how the legs, there's a little bit of movement. I can place them together. I can put them a little further out. So it's just a lot of movement. I can place one in front of the other. That's a little bit more maybe intermediate, so that it looks like he or she is walking. But this is the basics right here. So the next part at this point, I'm going to go a little further. I'm not going to do the feet yet for a few reasons. The next thing is, right now at home or wherever you are, place your elbow close to your body, on the side of your body, and see where it lands. Is it like nearby your waist? Is it near your belly button? Is it higher than your belly button? Is it lower than your belly button? So again, there's no rule here, but again, I'm gonna choose the middle. Instead of going higher or lower, I'm gonna go for middle. So I'm gonna draw my elbow, and I'm gonna draw my wrist. Same thing, you can stand in front of the mirror and place your arms next to your body and see where your elbow and your wrist are. And this is another average place where the wrist is located. I have longer arms, so my arms come a little further down. So now I'm going to add the shoulder. So here comes the shoulder. So make sure you add the shoulder. And I'm going to do the same thing I did with the legs. So I'm curving in. And here you can go crazy with this, because you can make the person muscular or not, right? So then from here, I'm going to do the same thing, and I'm going to connect. So there is one arm. We're going to do the same thing with the other arm. We're going to keep it very basic today. And we're going to do the same thing. Your elbow is a little wider. Don't forget the shoulder. And we are going to add our arms in. So at this point, if I was going to use this, I would maybe clean out these lines in here. I would do that. I get rid of any guidelines, but my suggestion is that you leave all your guidelines today, just so that you are able to redo this again. So at this point here, this could be, let me just add the hands. So I'm gonna draw the hands here. Real easy way to do the hands. So think of the hands like, say, two triangles on top of each other, but you chop, and you chop. So here is my chopped triangle, and then here is the other one. Regarding hands, just, I think it's better if you make them larger than smaller. Think of your hands, if you place them on your face, they're typically the size of your face, not your head. So I drew the head, this is not the face. So I wanted maybe about a fraction of that. And again, rules, I have large hands, so my hand, I would probably draw my hands a little further, a little lower. So that would be that. So I'm going to draw the other hand. We won't go into details with the hands as much. We're keeping it very basic. We are going to focus on the clothing. So those of you that are, when are we getting to the clothing? The fun's in the details, right? But your foundation is so important. If this is crooked or, way off, your clothes aren't going to look nice, no matter how pretty they are. So just take the time to work on the foundation. And again, if you never ever want to do another grid or crosshairs, draw this 20 times, but a good, solid, nice 20 times, and I guarantee you won't need a grid ever again. So the next thing right here, at this point where we're at right now, it could be a male or it can be a female. At this point, it could be the front or the back, okay? So let's just say I'm going to choose that it's a female at this point. So if I was going to do the front, say it's like a heel, I can do the same thing I did up here. That same method. Okay. So here's like, say, a high heel. the back of the heel, which is my favorite. I love teaching this. So I'm going to make it a little larger so you can see it. I'll do it over here. So if anyone's like in their, say, 40s and older and they're watching, I know it's we have a lot of teenagers, but if any parents are watching, if you remember, say, Thrifty ice cream, their scoops are a little rounded. They're kind of like a rounded square or like a rectangle. So it depends how large you make it. So you start with that, okay? If this was, say, like a male shoe or a sneaker for the back, you would do, say, the little seams. So here's the seam so it's just like a little curve and then just the little stitches. So, and you can add like a little heel here if this was, say, like the back of a sneaker or a shoe. But I'm going to do a heel. So I'm going to draw my ice cream cone. So here's my ice cream cone, right? I'm going to add a little bottom. And so this is, again, the back of the heel. So from here, I'm going to add some wings. So it's like an ice cream cone with wings. And that's the back of my shoe. So that would be the heel if I wanted this to be the back at this point. Do we have any questions so far regarding where we're at this point?
Well, aside from a few technical issues, which I'm trying to help people troubleshoot, but someone did mention that you still can get Thrifties at Rite Aid.
Yes, you sure can. Yes, and I saw that they sell it online, the scoop. It's about $40. So, but that's the way the scoop is. It's kind of like squarish. But yes, I'm glad someone else knows what I'm talking about. Yes. It was a big deal to go to Thrifties when you were a kid and get your ice cream. So at this point, I'm gonna talk about the face. I'm gonna switch over. You can use this up here. I want you guys to be able to see it. So I'm gonna switch to a larger paper. Or you can do the back of your paper. It's up to you. If you want, you can do a T. Just draw like a T line. Just make sure it's sort of straight, right? So you draw a T. I'm going to turn my paper because it'll be easier for me to draw my T. And what I want to do, I'm going to start with the top of the head like we did earlier. So top of the head, curve. Now here's the thing. You want to make sure that it's the same, right? So then this is where my chin's going to go. So chin. And then the side of my head. So I'm going to do side of my head. And same thing, I want to measure to make sure that it's the same. So there's the head. Now we can connect it. So if you stuck with the small one that you had, I'm going to move my paper a little bit so that I can make it. So I'm going to turn my paper. Sorry, I don't want to make anyone dizzy. So don't worry about all these sketch lines. So what we're going to do is I'm going to have too many lines here. Let me get rid of a few. So I'm going to draw my eye, just one eye. Don't draw the other eye. Just draw one eye. I'm not trying to show you how to draw a particular eye because there's millions of different eyes, right? Billions. So no, I'm just trying to show you where things belong. So right in here in the center of your head, believe it or not, that's where your eyes are. So it's not like when you draw the happy face and the eyes are up here. That's a big no-no. So that's when I see that, when I see the eyes way up here, then I know the student maybe need to learn where things go. So here are the eyes, right? So here's one eye. And like I said, I promise we're not going to do the other eye. So right now, so between the eye and the chin, right in the middle is what? Our nose, the bottom of our nose. So here's the bottom of the nose. The more you do to the nose, the larger it's going to be. So I'm going to do just a little bit to the nose. Okay. So just write down nose. Again, this is your grid. These are your notes. So please leave these guidelines here for so that you're able to do this again. So right between, say, the nose and the chin is what? The mouth. So I'm gonna write down mouth. And I'm going to draw here the top of the lip and the bottom of the lip. And now we can go to the other eye. Notice that I move you around. The reason I don't like to do the other eye right away, because the chances of not getting it correct are huge because you're too focused on the eye. Your eye needs to relax. So now between this area here, I want to do the same area here. So I know where to start. So I'm going to draw a little notch there. So you can measure with your finger, you can measure with the ruler, you can just eyeball it, but this same distance here, this is the same distance. This same distance here, it's going to be the same distance here. So now I know where my eye belongs and I know how high. If you need to do this the first time, do it. Just draw lightly so you know how high your eye is going to go. Same thing. If you need the little guideline for how low it goes, and draw a little guideline to help you. And I'll get a little closer because I know the guidelines are very, very light. And then from here, we are going to draw the eyelashes. Always start from the base up because it's thicker at the bottom, right? Our hair. And then now we're gonna, don't forget the eyelids. So draw the eyelids. That's one of the common mistakes that people forget, the eyelid. Next, we're gonna draw the pupil, right? And you can get very fancy with that. We're not gonna go there today. We're just trying to show you where things belong. And last but not least, the eyebrows, right? We're gonna draw the eyebrows. And I'm moving a little quicker now because I wanna get to the clothing. I don't wanna run out of time. But you know, I do the hair last. So decide what type of, you know, style you want. You can draw one hair at a time and be here all day, or you can just draw like chunks. So I'm gonna just give her a ponytail. And then again, if you do the chunk, it's a lot easier. And you can do a little bit of shadow. So there is where things belong, where the eyes belong, the mouth, the nose. And we will move on to clothing. Any questions?
Yeah, there's one
So
quick,
far?
a couple quick questions.
Sure.
Someone's picture, they said is a little too long. Are the clothes going to still turn out okay?
Yes, if their picture is a little too long, yes. And it's about adjustments and knowing what you like. And the more you sketch and the more you try, you eventually have your own style. So yes, it'll be fine. And you learn more from your mistakes. So, you know, be willing to make those mistakes. Now, one thing I didn't do, let's just say you wanted to make this back to the foot before I forget. For the shoe, if you wanted a short shoe for the front, you would do that chopped triangle, and then you would just do like a loop. And then here is a shoe that's not a heel, it's a little flatter. So that's something. And there's so many types of shoes, but I want to talk about clothes because the biggest mistakes that I find is when people draw pants, they forget to draw the center seam. And I'll show you what that is. That's in here. So they forget to add this seam. So if you're wearing shorts or pants, you're going to have a seam here. So a seam means two pieces of fabric that they had to sew together. Even if you don't have a zipper here, you have a seam. And then the other thing that I find, I know right now, I don't know, I mean, for some people, it depends who you ask, tight pants are still in style, right? So, but still you have to show some type of movement. So that's probably the second biggest mistake I see. So for instance, I'm gonna draw a skirt here. So if you draw a skirt and you just kind of do this and do this, and then that's it, then there's no movement. But if you say you draw something that's like this, and then there's kind of a little bit of a wrinkle, in there, and then, and then it kind of comes out like naturally the way it looks on the body, then it's going to look more realistic. So this on the body, even though you say, well, it looks crooked, but remember the body is moving. So there should be some wrinkle lines somewhere. No matter how tight the clothes are, there's still going to be some wrinkles. So this is more natural as opposed to this. Now, when you are drawing flat lines, there's a certain thing that we call flats in the industry. So a flat is like what I just drew. The only difference is that it has to be completely straight on both sides. And if anyone again is watching and they want to ask more questions, I do have a background in the fashion industry. So I'd be more than willing to answer those questions outside of this program. So with this skirt, this is called the flat. So in the industry, this is how we communicate. So this is something I give my pattern maker, and this is how he knows or she knows how to make it. If I do one side a little, let's just say I do this, he's gonna make one side like this and the other side like this with the seam down the middle. So whatever you draw is very important that you draw what you need and that it's balanced, because they will give you whatever you give them. So I can get more. If you don't know what a pattern is, I can answer those questions outside of here. So let's draw some more skirts. So this is a fun skirt here. So let's just say I'm gonna make a waistband. And so here's my little waistband. And then I'm gonna go down on both sides. And it doesn't have to be the same. You don't want it to be the same. And then I'm gonna curve up, back down, curve up, back down, curve up, back down. So I just did these little squiggly lines like so. And then I'm gonna go up, 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 up and then that shows some movement, okay? So notice that my lines are kind of like light. They're kind of going in different directions. That shows me that the fabric is pretty light. Now, what happens if I draw the same thing, but I make it a little stiffer? So I'm going to draw the same thing here. And so I'm going to draw a little stiffer. And then I'm going to do the same thing. And then now I'm going to. So just by doing that already, it's going to show that the fabric, just by lines being a little thicker, it's going to show that the fabric is a lot stronger or thick. So those are little things that can happen. So again, when you're drawing on the body, make sure that there's some kind of movement. So if I were to draw, say, an off the shoulder right now. So here's my off the shoulder. And I'm going to draw my skirt. I want to make sure that there is some kind of movement on there. And I'm going to give her some wrinkles in here. Where does fabric wrinkle? My wrinkles around the waist, maybe not too many, depends, right? So any place where you would maybe find some kind of a wrinkle. And again, these little lines, they're not the same. And that would show you, again, some kind of movement for this. Any questions so far?
Someone did say, I think when you asked about wrinkles, someone did mention that they're by the seam.
That if they're by the seam?
I guess that a place where you find wrinkles is near
yes,
the seam.
by the seam. It could be by the seam. And the best thing you could do is if you're designing something, look in your closet and see what you have that's the closest to it and put it on and see where things wrinkle up. Obviously, you don't want to do too much to remove from, say, if you had this beautiful pattern of say, like, you don't want to take too much away from it, but you do want to be able to show a little bit. I have some examples that I can show. Would that be okay?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. And then I'll leave this here if anyone wants to kind of just look through it. But color is the shadows. How much time do we have, Caroline? Did I know? Are we still good on time?
Yeah, about 15 or so minutes.
Oh, okay. So I think the best thing I can show everyone also are the shadows, the most important thing. So this is what I was talking about when I say like a moving flat. This is like something you would show your pattern designer, and then he would know or she would know how to make that design for you. But I wanna, if you wanna grab a clean sheet of paper, that would be great. And again, so here's some examples. So see how there's some wrinkles in here, some shadows. So the shadows also make your drawing, can really make your drawing. So here is some more wrinkles. And then here's another one. So again, there's some more wrinkles or some patterns. So I have texture and I have patterns. So this is texture, patterns. Texture is something you can pretty much feel. And you know, this is just designed on there. It's already printed. So this is a print. It's already been printed on the fabric. And this is something you feel its texture. So let's talk a little bit about shadows. Since we have some time, I think that's, in my opinion, it's the best thing you can do to your drawing. You can make your drawing look amazing if you do these steps. So the first step is, if you can draw a circle and you're gonna make a balloon, and then just make sure that the other balloon is attached. And so here are my balloons. Doesn't matter what they look like, just make sure that they are attached. So the first thing is source of light. Where is my light coming from? So in some cases, the light is coming from many places, right? It's coming from, I have two lights, I have a window. So I'm gonna just make a decision at this point. So I'm gonna make a decision and say that my sun's on the left side. Now, you don't want to draw your sun, you just want to be aware of it. But for this reason and for this purpose, I'm going to draw my sun. So the first step is source of light. That's it right there. So source of light. Second is shade the opposite of your source of light. So I'm going to shade the opposite on my objects. I'm going to shade the opposite of both of my objects. So here it is, shade opposite. So that's 1, 2. So I did that. And at this point, you're probably asking, well, how much do I shadow? Well, how dark is the room? How dark is it outside? Is it nighttime, daytime? So you decide. So we're talking right now, minimum amount of shading right now. So source of light, shade the opposite. Now, everything has a shadow. Everything has an outside shadow. You have a shadow that follows you, right? All day long. You can't get rid of it. So that's your shadow. This is the shadow we're talking about it. And you're probably asking, well, how far do I draw this shadow? Always at least underneath the actual object or person. And then because my light's over here, I can take this a little further out. I can go a little bit further this way. So that is shade. Everything has a shadow. So everything has a shadow. And so what I find is that a lot of instructors teach this, but they don't teach this part. And this is very important as well. But the most important one is the overlaps. And that's number 4. And that is anything that overlaps. So this balloon is overlapping on this balloon, therefore we shadow in here. So step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. So if you were doing, this is a minimum amount of shading. So the minimum amount of shading, you can use it with every type of medium, when I say medium, I'm talking pencils, color pencils, markers, ink, everything. Now for maximum amount of shading, it's very difficult to use marker. If I try to do maximum amount of shading, like say I want to do dark and then go lighter, it's kind of difficult. It's still as dark as this side. So it's not easy. But if you do maximum amount of shading, what that means is that this is darker and then it gets lighter and then it gets even lighter, and you can blend as well. So this is what maximum amount of shading would be. You would just blend this and it would get lighter. So it doesn't change anything. It's still source of light, shade the opposite. Everything has a shadow, anything that overlaps. And this, the difference here is that this would get lighter, right? The opposite of the sun. So it would go from dark to light as well. Any questions? I think we're good then. So no questions. Do we have questions, Caroline?
Sorry, yeah, I had a few, they were from kind of older.
Okay.
Oh, actually, I have
I
something
saw the
related.
step 3, right? I don't
Yeah,
understand
we
step
can
3.
answer that
Perfect.
one now. Yeah.
Sure. So it would be so this is your shadow here. You can do a very minimal shadow. Even a line sometimes is enough as long as you place it underneath. So let me grab something. Let me get my little plant here. So we have source of light, shade the opposite, everything has a shadow. I'm talking about this shadow here. This is step 3. Does that answer your question? So in this case, if this was a drawing, you would know where the light's coming from, right? The source is coming from here, from this side. So source of light, shade the opposite. My plant and the object is gonna be dark. Source of light, shade the opposite, everything, because there's less light, has a shadow. So there's a shadow underneath here. And that's what 3 is. So we have that. And I hope that answers. Okay, that did answer. Okay, great. And you said you had another question? Or if there's multiple lights. Okay, perfect. So if there's multiple lights, a great question too. So if there's multiple lights, you would repeat the same thing for the both sides or the 3 sides. And I didn't quite see the other one. Let's see.
Yeah.
About the children's clothing.
Yeah, there was a few. I guess if we're still on shadows, we can answer this question.
Sure.
When using markers, using markers to make shadows, I guess
okay.
This actually was a suggestion to use alcohol markers, or do you have any other suggestions?
No, I am so so I like everything that's non-toxic, especially because I work at hospitals and facilities. So everything has to be non-toxic for me. So I don't know if we can name brands, but I mean, I go with the most basics brands. I don't think you need to spend a lot of money on stuff. I happen to have, I don't know if you've noticed the pencil I have. It's a little fancier. I didn't buy it. It was a gift. So, but my suggestion is that you use one of these. If I was drawing for myself and I was making something, I would do this, and I would make sure that I expose the lead a little further out, and that forces me to draw light. That will totally force me to, because I think the biggest frustration for artists is that they're not able to erase their lines, and that's because they're drawing a little too dark. So that's what this is my suggestion. Watercolor, same thing. I always just look for anything that's non-toxic. Yes. Any other questions?
Yes. Can you show us how to do hair again?
Sure. So there's many ways of making hair, but if this was say we'll say that this is the head. Let me go a little further, not crooked. So it's a little tough drawing when you have the camera in front of you in the way, but okay, let's just say that's her head. So one of the biggest problems that I'll see is, say, like here are the eyes, right? is that people start to do the hair up here. And it's better if you know, our hair kind of starts a little bit out down here at least. And I like to do chunks. So you could do, let's just say I were to draw, say, some bangs. I can do one hair at a time and one hair at a time. But notice that I start at the base. I don't start in the opposite direction. I didn't start from, say, the bottom part of the bangs to upwards. No, because hair grows from the top, right? So we always go there. So this just takes a little longer to do this if you do one hair at a time. Now, if you want to do the chunks, you can just kind of shadow a little bit. And then like if I do the little ponytail, and then if I close the ponytail up, that's going to make it even look even chunkier, like a lot of hair. If I don't close it up, then I can do this. I can draw little lines in there. And so, you know, it's just a lot quicker to do the chunk. But my suggestion is to just look at the hairstyle that you like and just practice it. But again, remember that every hair starts from the base of the head. Any other questions?
Yeah, we have a lot actually.
Sure.
Can you talk about proportions for children's clothing?
Yeah, so proportions for children's clothing is a little bit, there's hardly any rules. I've seen designers when they're designing for children is that they don't even add the neck. So if you look at a toddler, say they don't really have much of a neck, right? Like a little baby. So it changes. It just depends on the size of the child. And you know, there's different, again, just like with adults, there's different proportions. But you know, same thing. It just depends on, so like this is the knee. And then here is like, say, the shoe. But again, it just depends on the child, the size, age child, and just again looking for where's their elbow? Is their elbow a little higher? Is it near their belly button? Is it a little lower? It's just knowing where things are and paying attention. So pre-COVID, I used to go get my coffee at a coffee shop, and you know, little did the people know that were walking in, I was sketching them. And at the end of my little coffee break there, I could see that there's so many different, you know, body types. So, but what I pay attention before the person leaves, I pay attention especially to see where their elbow is and where their wrist is, and that'll show you. But proportion for kids, again, it depends on the age. I hope that helps. You have more questions?
Yeah, going back to I think when you suggested that if you have something in your closet to put it on to see where like the wrinkles and shadows hit,
Mm-hmm.
that if you have maybe a different body type than what you're trying to draw,
Yes.
say if you're if you're stocky but or maybe wider in the shoulders or whatever,
Yes.
but you're trying to draw something slimmer, how do you adjust, I guess?
You always want to make your drawings, doesn't matter what you're drawing, even if it's a building, like you made it, like you did it on purpose. Okay, so that's what you want to go for. I did it on purpose. So how do you make these on purpose? You make sure that both sides are the same. Remember, I elongated this hand. So right now it looks like I don't know what I'm doing because the one hand is smaller than the other one. Like I can take the attention away from my clothing. So that's why the foundation and the body has to be exact. So if I would want to make sure that my hands are in the same level here. But again, I mean, you have so many body types. So again, you want to make sure that both sides are the same. So you want to maybe, you know, this, you could go further out this way. And then I just chose to do this only because it was easier to pair up the shoulders and just make it a lot easier. But you can go again as wide as you would like. Just make sure it's the same on both sides. I'm not sure if I quite answered the question or I understood it. Did I answer it?
So, and secondly, where do the ears go on the head?
Oh, perfect. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, very good. So the ears typically go somewhere near the eyes. I forgot the eyes. The ears, I mean. So if we said the eyes are in here, the ears go somewhere in here. Now, I used to always say this is where the ears go because the majority of the people, this is where the ears go. But I saw a very famous model, who I won't mention, but her ears were right very much below her eyes. So there went that, you know, for years I was saying that, but no, I've studied so many ears. And so just there's no rule. If you're making up a person, then you can just make them somewhere near the eyes. But if you're looking at a person, again, pay attention to where those ears are located.
Great. And is it better to have a Stadler pencil? I'm not sure if that's a brand or
Is it I didn't hear it. What's the brand?
a Stadler pencil.
Oh, no, not at all. No, no, anything will do. It's just, it just happens that like you have all these fancy pencils. So I have them because, you know, I teach art. I have to have them. And again, people buy me a lot of stuff, but you have your fancy pencils and they are not necessary. Will they make things a little easier? Yeah, maybe. I don't think so. I think it's, you know, you got to take out all your pencils and align them. And then, no, some of them are. So like the B stands for black, but, and then the other one say like the H stands for heart. I don't know who decided to number these, but they should have really, this means light and this means dark. The H, instead of hard, they should have just meant light. I don't understand. But anyways, that's, you know, I'd have to take all my pencils away. But no, any pencil will do. This one that I'm using, the only thing fancy about this one is the eraser. It's just a little, you know, different. But this is what I use. This is what I go through these. I go through a lot of lead pencils. This is my favorite here. Any other questions?
When you draw clothes, do you make the fabrics into a pattern? You're drawing.
Okay, so yes, you can make textures. So a pattern can be, say for instance, if you were to do, if we do like a plaid. So here's your plaid. And then here's your plaid. And then you can, you know, there's so many types of plaid, right? So you just would follow, the design that you're looking at. Now, if you're wanting to design your own patterns, that's a different story. You're now a designer. Now you're designing fabric. That's what a lot of the big designers do, is they design their own fabric. So that's an art as on its own, just designing your own. It's kind of like what I showed with the designs that I have, the difference in pattern and print. But texture, think of texture as something you can touch, and think of a print as something that I just like drew right now. That's the difference.
And then when you're doing the color on that, do you use like markers or color pencil, or what's the standard?
My favorite thing to use is watercolor. And the reason I love watercolor, because I'm a believer that if you know how to use watercolor, everything else is a cinch. That's just my opinion. And watercolor is more forgiving, I think, because let's just say I was making like a see-through sleeve. So let's just say I'm going to add a see-through sleeve here, a little puffy sleeve here. So the first thing I would do, I would watercolor the arm and I would let that dry. Once it's dry, I would go back and add the color of this like fabric here, whatever see-through fabric that is, if it's red. So you're able to still see that, that arm underneath it. It is possible to do with other forms of but it's very difficult. That's why I love watercolor. Any other questions?
One
Yes.
last question. We had a couple people ask about where your designs, or if you have clothes, are sold, because they enjoy the booklet you showed.
Oh, okay. So the book is called Basic Art Techniques, and that's the foundation, because I want you to draw anything you want. not just what I'm showing you here. I give the foundation. And a lot of books don't have the foundation. They kind of skip through it. So it's like drawing a brick building and then it starts to go crooked. It's like, wait a minute, you need the foundation to be solid. So that's what the book is about. As far as fashion, I studied fashion at Woodbury University, and I did work in the industry. I worked for Eduardo Lucero, and I worked for Tommy Hilfiger Women's Division. And I did that for for some years. And then I found that my passion, once I got married and I had my son, I found that my passion was really in teaching. And so I've just stayed with it, and it's been amazing and it's been fun. And so, yes, that's my little background in fashion.
Great, thank you
But,
so much. And
yes.
if you want to see more of Claudia's work, you could visit her website. I put it in the chat for everybody.
Yes.
And we can put
And
it in the.
Thank you. And if you want to, send me some questions on Instagram, I would be more than happy to reply to you.
And I think so. We're all out of time. I know we could probably do this more, but we are short on time. So I hope I wanted to thank everybody for joining us today, and I apologize to everybody for a few of the technical troubles that we had. We are recording it, so I will send everybody the recording so you can review this wonderful workshop that Claudia let us in. So a big thank you to Claudia for all of your work. It was really wonderful. And I also wanted to mention that our spring and summer discovery program has started. I would like to invite you, your family, and friends to participate in our annual celebration of reading, learning, and curiosity for people of all ages, going on now through August 8th. Each month's challenge encourages you to log books you've read and complete activities, and every month you complete, you'll have the opportunity to win prizes. You can sign up online at lacounty.org/spring-discovery. /spring-summer-discovery. I'll put it in the chat. Or stop by your local library to pick up a game card and activity ideas. Our positive parenting librarian will remain in the event for 10 minutes after the program. If you have any parenting questions or would like to post it in the chat, you can also schedule a one-on-one consultation with a positive parenting librarian. And we will also post that link in the chat again. And if you're interested in participating in more of our upcoming virtual programs, please visit us at lacountylibrary.org. Thank you so much, Claudia. It was great having you.
Thank you so much.
And have a great evening.
Thank you. You too.